Hey guys, my name is Ted. I'm a director of live performance shows, so like dance, theater, music kind of stuff that I'll go into detail. And in the last year or two with the new show that I made, I've been thinking a lot about, I've had all these ideas for incorporating 3D design in one way or another into the show in various forms. And this is my way of doing a bit of a brain dump. Some things that I've tried to implement a little bit, but most things are really in the idea stage. And so this is a really fun opportunity for me to just put together a bunch of ideas, tell you about it, maybe get some feedback, and see what happens. So here we go. So quickly a little bit of background about who I am. I work not far from here at McGill at the Neurological Institute as a coder, kind of in the sort of web platform type of stuff, and I've been a developer for much of my professional life, doing data visualization, data analysis, all kinds of web application stuff, front-end, back-end, different types of things like that. And also woven into that was sort of cognitive science research and psychological research. So I did experiments involving using an eye scanner, eye tracker to monitor people's eye movements as they look at named objects on the screen, and then choosing which objects and what stimulus they would hear to try to tease apart different psychological factors of how people interpret language, and published a couple things on that, neural network modeling of language, language perception, word perception, things like that. So I have that sort of academic background in addition to development. A few years ago I got to do this amazing project where I went up north to western Nunavut and did recordings with a group of elders in this very unique style of music, drum dance from western Nunavut, and got to write about that and release this music up there, so this is images from that. And I also do photo and video production, really for fun, but I'm starting to incorporate that more and more into the performance work that I do. And that's a poster for a show that's this Friday at this wrestling, all-girls wrestling troupe that's at the SAT this Friday. And I've got a little role on stage with them. LOLWM is League of Lady Wrestlers Montreal. Anybody heard of them? No? It's at the SAT on Friday. It's hilarious. It's great. And that thing, I made that thing. As a creative person, I've always been a musician throughout my life, so this is some music that I've made, and I kind of came to the performing arts through music because I do collaborations where I would do music for a theater show or a dance show, or a visual artist had some kind of performance, and I'd make some music, and then gradually over the years I was like, I want to kind of be doing this with you, I want to make some of that too. So I came into that through music. So in 2010, I made first big show, which was called The Duck Wife, which was based on Inuit mythology, and that's my rock band at the back of the stage, and then at the front was this sort of dance theater troupe, and we told this this mythical tale about a hunter who meets a girl who's half duck, half woman. He marries her, he brings her home, and his mother-in-law doesn't really, she's trying to order around. The duck girl runs away. He goes after her, and it's this big adventure. And so we toured that in the summer of 2010 and had a blast. And when there used to be print media, we were on the cover of it one week, which was fun. And that kind of got me into slowly becoming kind of a director, artistic director of performing arts. And did that since, that time. And last year, after about a year and a half of a creative process, we presented our next show, which is called Iredea, which is most of what I'm here to tell you about. And Iredea is a post-apocalyptic story. It's a 1-hour show. It's 5 of us on stage when we perform. It's dance, it's theatrical, there's multimedia projections, there's live sound design, there's special lighting effects. And the story, the post-apocalyptic story, comes from a Philip K. Dick novel called Deus Irae. People know Philip K. Dick here? He's one of the best sci-fi writers. And also, that's one of the inspirations. Another big inspiration is a film called La Jetée by Chris Marker. And so, yeah, we first performed it last May, and have performed it at 4 festivals so far, and still pursuing to get more and more performances, and trying to get some resources together to expand the multimedia elements of it to make it more and more. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm going to do a quick little compressed version of what the story is, because some of the ideas that I want to tell you about have a lot to do with the story and enhancing that story. So in the future, at some point, 40 years from now, let's say, the world is decayed, this kind of dystopian society, and climate change has wreaked havoc on our world, flooding, whole countries are decimated, everything is screwed up. A little bit like we're seeing in some places already, I heard there's flooding in Texas this week or something. And everything is being controlled by this thing called the superstructure, which is this big giant corporate government structure thing that they have all the technology and the money and the resources. And there's this one guy who works for the superstructure, and he's a hydrometric engineer. And he's trying to do good to help people, but they're kind of manipulating him. And he starts to go crazy. And then he really goes crazy. This is just more about that dystopian world. And then he eventually goes really crazy because of the way they're manipulating him, and he uses his access to the codes and everything to cause this epic apocalypse, destroy the world. There's a little bit more to it than that, but you get the idea. And then we start the show on stage. We meet the hero of the story is this woman who is dead when we meet her, and her picture is taken by this robot. And this is an actual robot that we have that walks on stage in the show, and it takes pictures of things, and then we see those images projected onto the screen. So we see this dead woman, and she gets brought to life by this shadowy figure, brought back to life using this laser technology, and she gets given this bionic arm. I'm jumping around here. She gets given this bionic arm, and she learns to sculpt the earth and the landscape with her bionic arm. So she starts out dead, but she gets brought back to life. She's sculpting the landscapes using her bionic arm, and she gets told that she has to now go on this quest to find the man who destroyed the world and make this gigantic monument in his likeness. Because there's this cult that worships the guy who destroyed the world. It's a little like a video game story. This is one of the sculptures she makes. This is in the projections. This is another one of the sculptures she's able to make with her bionic arm. She goes out to go on this quest. She's not really sure if she wants to do it. There's people who get in her way. There's this gigantic jellyfish that comes out at one point and kind of gets in her way. And she meets this guy, and he's kind of taking advantage of her, lying to her. Anyways, the story builds towards this climax where maybe she makes the monument, maybe she doesn't. You'll have to come see the show. But at the end, there's this image that gets captured, and future generations see this image, and it inspires them to rebuild civilization. Because what the show is really about is about all these themes, but it's about what is our common humanity, what can inspire us to continue rebuilding or not rebuilding. And there's a lot of themes woven into this, so it's something that is really entertaining, but also has a lot of thematic interest to it. So that's a quick nutshell of what the show Iredea is as a live show. And now, what does any of this have to do with Unity? And the answer is that the dream is that we're going to start bringing 3D design into that world, and I want to expand it beyond, it's going to be on the stage, but I also want to bring it into video realm, because the video realm is great. So I want to make videos, maybe one day a feature film, who knows. And so I'm going to tell you about some of these ideas I have, and some of them are inspired by amazing collaborators who are not yet my collaborators. So I'm going to tell you about six concepts. And yeah, here we go. So first one is all about the sculpting. So the character, the hero, she's this woman with this bionic arm who's able to sculpt into the earth. And what I want to be able to eventually build is okay, so I'll show you what it looks like. What it looked like on our opening night. Whoa. Sorry. So this was actually our opening show, and you see the screen and you see the dancer in this costume, and the screen is supposed to like animate what the act of sculpting and creating a sculpture from a landscape. So what I want to be able to do is use a Kinect controller, or maybe an infrared camera, or one of these other types of like body sensitive controller interfaces to allow a dancer to interact with an interface on a stage and do that live, so that they can create a sculpture in a dynamic way that could be different every time, and there could be like sound effects that go along with it. So I got it part of the way. So this is my big Unity demo for the day. I'm not really a game developer, as you probably noticed. So I'm going to show you my big demo. There's a little world. There's me. I got the Kinect, and watch. Okay, so that would be an invisible ball that would hit some kind of fracturing structures that would get blown up. And then here's some more Unity material. So here's this creepy post-apocalyptic world that would be projected, and the character movements would be like, you know, causing the controls, and then we can get some fractured effects. Found some stuff in the asset store that I tried to use. You get the idea a little bit, yeah? Okay, so didn't get too far. But you can see where it's going. So I want to create that experience of having a dancer interact using their body with a large screen that can like create the sense of sculpting of a landscape. And then here's some inspiration for some of the kinds of like sculptures that might be emerging. This is an artist from Montreal named John Rathman, who's made this whole series of 3D artworks that I think are incredible, and that because the eventual artwork that the character is supposed to create is a monument of a guy who destroyed the world, this kind of piqued my interest. And so that's part of an inspiration of what might be emerging from a mountain, let's say. And then there's this company in Australia called Chunky Move that has done incredible interactive stuff with IR cameras. I won't stick to that, but Chunky Move is an amazing dance multimedia company from Australia, so look them up if you're interested in this stuff. I get a lot of ideas from them. So that was one idea, but the next step to that idea is that a flat wall behind the dancer is interesting, but what is more interesting is 3D projection mapping. Is everybody familiar with 3D projection mapping? That's where you would have a like three-dimensional shape that your projections, which are 3D designs, are morphed around that shape in order to be able to simulate a three-dimensional space. And that's probably, if you've seen like sometimes at UCAM, the building they're projecting onto the side of the wall there, it's commonly done with buildings and using the shape of buildings, but it can be done on a lot of different objects to try to get the feeling of being in a space. So here is this amazing artist from Lithuania. So he's got basically just some benches in a room, and he's got this whole, he's got these projections that are going onto these objects, and you get a much more dynamic experience of projection. Who here has seen stuff like this before? Yeah.
I feel like when I saw the Book of Mormon, I was like, how are they doing that?
Sorry?
When I saw the Book of Mormon, I was like, how are they doing that? Like, it looks real background.
When you saw which one?
The Book of Mormon.
Oh, Book of Mormon. Okay, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Book of Mormon. But yeah, some definitely like Broadway shows are starting to use it. Cirque du Soleil have things like this. And it's rad, and it's costly, but it's doable, and it's getting more and more doable to do this stuff. And people are doing it with Unity as well, which is kind of exciting. So what I'm looking to do eventually is to build some kind of wall. Let's say that would look something like that, maybe 25 feet high, 30 feet wide, And I might want to make it with a transparent medium, like fiberglass or something, and then you can get this stuff called screen goo, or there's other ways of making transparent medium have a really high quality projection onto it. And then when we do these sculpt designs, like I was just showing, having the 3D projection mapping will make the whole experience like way more exciting. And we can use the shape of that back wall to like design a whole sequence of different projection experiences that go throughout the show. And I found this is a space in kind of a museum in Singapore that's using this kind of dynamic surface to create these kind of immersive experiences that would give, the viewers like a real sense of immersion into that. So that's like that number 2 one of the wall is kind of like my holy grail of what I want to be able to do one day. And I think it can really elevate a live viewing experience into something that feels like you're inside of a movie or inside of a game experience for a viewer. And it also provides the possibility of like allowing, audience members or people to sort of get involved and like have these new types of experiences. Because what really this is about for me is that we have games, we have movies, we have live performance of dance and theater, things that are really old and dying out in some ways, but also changing. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out ways to merge those things and like cross-pollinate between them. And that's really what I'm very interested in. So number 3 is the hydrometric power wall UI. So in the story summary, we showed this character. This is the guy who he works as a hydrometric engineer, and then he gets corrupted and he becomes the one who destroys the world. And in his day job, he's using this crazy power wall that is a little bit like that wall in Minority Report that I think everybody has seen. And so what I want to do is use that same back textured wall to create another interactive experience where in the show the guy is going to be like basically like controlling these powerful technologies out there in the world that are going to be like moving oceans or like moving submarines around, and by having this textured wall with projection mapping can create something pretty mind-blowing. So that's another design, and that's the kind of like interfaces that people are, I think, building in Unity every day. Whenever you have a heads-up display in a game, that's basically something like this, and the next step is just morphing that experience onto this projection, probably raising the resolution, but really in terms of what Unity developers are doing, it's not that big a deal. Adding the Connect interactivity, it's doable. This stuff is all very doable. So that excites me about this idea, is that these kinds of experiences are being added to games all the time, and just extending it into the performing arts wouldn't take a huge leap. Number 4 is Robo Vision heads-up display. So I showed you the picture of the robot. I was going to bring the robot today, but it was just too much to look around. He's really cute. But last year when we performed at the Fringe Festival, the robot got on the news. So.
And looking for a different type of performance?
Iredea is a sci-fi dance rock.
Unusual is the norm to almost anything at the Fringe Fest. Some performance today, including when is it?
I'm showing you this because I think it's funny, because we bought this robot. It's called a Tachnid. It's a toy. Pay like $80 for it, and then we spray painted it and added a head to it, and then we got it on the news.
You can expect almost anything at the Fringe Fest. Even a show with a little robot is trying to survive the apocalypse.
This is BDI, one of the characters in our show, who's a little shy today. And he lives in the world that...
You get the idea. And so I was just controlling him with my other hand there. It's kind of fun to do like live puppetry like that. And yeah, he's a really great thing, and having, not too much to do with 3D design, but it was fun to build in. Oh yeah, the Fringe Festival is starting in a few days, so I thought I would just plug that. It's a great festival, 25th anniversary, lots of great independent performing arts. So anyways, the 3D idea, the design idea with the robot is that throughout the show, in our projections, we have these images that are showing the robot's view of what it's seeing on the stage. So this is one of the images that it sees. This is another one of the images that it sees. And it's kind of inspired by 10 minutes? Okay. Oh, my time up?
No, we got a very talk.
Okay, so I'll wrap up. Cool. So that's kind of inspired by like Terminator kind of vision. So I want to be able to try to put like animations when the robot is walking around the stage, where the view of the robot would kind of move with it. This is a really cool robot called a Morphex. We have this amazing costume design that we built with a tattoo artist that the dancer wears. And I want to expand the bionic arm to make something that has using 3D printing to give her arm like this kind of kinetic movement. And so that's kind of a different aspect of 3D design that I want to get into, so that when she moves her arm, we have some kind of crazy stuff happening. And the sixth one, I've got like 100 more of these. These are the six that I decided to show. Is we're making a video later this summer using mud. We're going to cover dancers in mud, and this is going to be part of the Iredea story. And I want to have a motion capture element to this story where you visualize basically an apocalypse, like nuclear explosions hitting people's bodies, and like different kinds of like animation onto motion captured bodies that we would incorporate into this video project. So thanks for hearing me out, and really why I'm here is I'd love to get some feedback. I'm looking for collaborators who might want to work on this in any way, even just to have a coffee and like throw ideas around about it, and looking for ways to like connect the live performing arts with the gaming community and 3D design. And I think that's it. And I'll post my slides to the meetup later, so you can, if you want to look through any of that. Thanks.